Hi, thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope everyone's having a beautiful day. Today we're going to be talking about The Seventh Son by Lani Forbes, published by Blackstone Publishing. I have to say, as a Latina and as a Mexican with, Aztec roots, I did appreciate this novel. It has a strong sense of Aztec and Mayan culture in it. It is a historical fiction with fantasy taking place within that folklore of Aztec and Mayan mythology, and I really did like it. When I was reading this novel, I was reminded a lot about Apocalypto, the movie. That's one of my favorite movies. I love Apocalypto. And so I got a strong sense of Apocalypto when I was reading this movie, because it's all about, apocalypse, human sacrifices, but there's also this magical element to it, which I thought was really cool for Forbes to bring in. All the noble families, they have a gift because they are descendants of someone who used their power and sacrifice themselves in order to save everyone from the oncoming apocalypse. So you've got, water, fire, storm, sun, healing, and beast talker or beast trainer. And I thought those were all really good elements to bring into the novel. And I loved how Forbes was able to structure that magic. All the magic is connected to blood. What is blood if not life? You see that a lot in a lot of fantasy. Blood magic is very powerful magic. Blood magic is the source of all life. So I thought it was very interesting how all the sacrifices have to do with their power. It has to do with them giving a little bit of their own blood in order to use their power. And I thought that was really cool, and I really did like that aspect of the novel. As for the characterization and the dynamics, I had some issues around there. I think I have to give this novel 3.5 stars. 3 or 3.5 stars because of that. They all sound very whiny, especially the female characters, and especially Mayana. Maybe it had to do with the fact that I listened to this novel as an audiobook. I just couldn't get behind Mayana. One, she seems like a Mary Sue caricature. She's just so perfect, and she's just right all the time. But her one failing with everyone is she doesn't believe in the sacrifices. Oh, big whoop. And guess what? She ends up being right about it by the end of the novel, which was somewhat predictable, if you ask me. But she just seems so Mary Sue-ish, It's just so very perfect. And her and the other girls, they're so whiny. They sound like that all the time. It drove me nuts. Maybe if I had read this book instead of listened to it, because I do listen to books, and I read ebooks and I read everything, audiobooks, ebooks, paperbacks, hardcovers, you name it, I read it. But I just couldn't stand how whiny some of these female characters sounded. Some of them were cool, like the Fire Princess. Oh man, she was cool. The Storm Princess, she was cool. Those two were pretty awesome. Even the Beast Princess, she's sort of the antagonist of the group. She's like the mean girl. I liked her tone too. Everyone else was just so whiny, and I just couldn't stand it. It just bugged me so much. So if you take anything away from this review, try reading the novel. Don't listen to it on audio. I don't think the directing or the production was able to really capture the characters enough because they just sounded very annoyingly whiny throughout the entire novel, and it bugged me to no end. As for the pacing of the story, I mean, it was good. I did appreciate the pacing of the novel. It does move very speedily. You know, there doesn't seem to be any lag. I did love the development. Once again, to the character dynamics, you have the girl versus girl thing, which I thought was a little cliche. Once again, very reminiscent of Mean Girls. But it just lacked the charm of Mean Girls. You know, it felt like very cliche to have girl versus girl. I mean, yes, it is relatable and believable because, you know, the new king, he has to choose a bride otherwise. He has to choose a bride. And everyone else who doesn't get chosen, you know, they do get sacrificed to the gods. So that part of it, it is believable. You know, there is no world in which this sort of situation is not going to cause tension between females, because no one really wants to die. But I just wish it had been done differently, just because it falls into a lot of cliches when they're talking about it. But once again, I appreciated the mythology, I appreciated the lore, I loved the magic and how it was structured in the novel. And even Mayana's relationship, the romantic element with the prince, I thought, you know, that was done very well. Whenever Mayana's with the prince, she's not whiny, she's actually kind of likable. You know, she doesn't seem like a Mary Sue character, she just seems like a girl who feels as lost as him and who is kind and gentle. And so it's completely believable why he would fall in love with her, because she does what everyone else doesn't. She doesn't ask him how he's doing. You know, everyone else is all about charming him, and she's just thoughtful, she's kind, she's considerate, you know, without any subterfuge. You know, she's doing it because, you know, she genuinely cares. When she asks you, are you doing okay? Like, I know this is hard, but are you okay? She's not doing it to get into his good graces. She's doing it because she genuinely understands where his pain is coming from. You know, she did lose a parent herself, so she has a common ground in which to connect to him. And I did like that development of them together. You know, their romance was believable. It was nice to see, and overall, it was beautiful and realistic. You know, and it's the only time where she doesn't seem like some Mary Sue character. You know, when she doesn't seem like a Mary Sue character. You know, she seems like a real person in those scenes. And so does Aro. I mean, I think wrong apple. I think the prince, Prince Akin, I think he's a good character. I like his narrative. I love his inner conflict, and I love how the inner conflict within him is developed and, you know, raises the tension of the plot and puts some tension between the characters and the characterization. You know, he doesn't 100% believe in the sacrifices, but he believes that to be his duty, so he does it. Whereas Mayana, she doesn't believe in the sacrifices, but she refuses to do it. And so there is a wedge. And then there is also something sinister also happening with the sun. And I thought that added element later on in the novel. It was like, what? Plot twist. And it was a very good plot twist. And the ending. Oh my God, the ending. I thought the ending was spectacular. You know, the entirety of the novel, I was like, okay, this is an okay novel. You know, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't mind blown by it either. You know, it's just okay. You know, once again, the female characters did tend to annoy me at times because they just ended so whiny, and they were always bickering with one another. But that ending, it made me excited for the sequel. Like, I'm excited to read the sequel because of that ending. and because it should only really be focusing on Mayana and the prince. So the two of them together, I think, make a great team. You know, they have a really strong dynamic, and I liked it. So that's probably going to be why I'm going to read the second novel, because that fantastical element, all the tension, everything they have to get back to fix and undo to put the villain in their rightful place, you know. All the secrecy in the novel, all these little hints that there's something going on outside of the norm, it created very good tension. And I appreciated that, and I really liked that. So yeah, 3.5 stars. I'm going to give this book 3.5 stars. Mainly because that ending was so mind-blowing. I love that ending. And I'm so excited for the sequel because of that ending. If it hadn't been for that ending, I don't think I would be. So once again, this is The Seventh Son by Lani Forbes, published by Blackstone Publishing. Please check out your library's digital catalog to see if you can get an ebook or an audiobook. And if money is not too tight, please remember to support your local bookseller and purchase the book from your local bookseller's website. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day, and as always, happy reading.